Okay, so Friday we put ordered pairs on the unit circle. So if you weren't here the Friday before, what was this, fall break? So if you weren't here that day, you need to go back and find that video and watch and make sure you have the ordered pairs on your unit circle, because it's important that you have your unit circle completely filled out with the ordered pairs on there and that you understand where they come from. All right, so this textbook kind of introduces things in a, this is the wrong page. Anyway, this textbook kind of introduces things in a kind of a weird order, but we're just going to go with it. So the page that I was just on, SOHCAHTOA, if I explained this concept using SOHCAHTOA, it would make sense, and since you know SOHCAHTOA, I'm going to kind of go there. If you don't know it, then it's really okay. You just need to memorize what this little piece says. So we're doing lesson 4.2, which we started before fall break, which is by putting the ordered pairs on the unit circle. So now, because we know the ordered pairs on the unit circle, we're going to be able to figure out trig values for certain angles using the unit circle. All right, so what you see here is the definitions of the trig functions from the unit circle. So you learned in geometry that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent. But if we're in the unit circle, so if you're in the unit circle and you're talking about this angle, if you make a right triangle out of that, then if this is the angle, opposite is the y coordinate and adjacent is the x coordinate. So like this would be x, y to get to that ordered pair. And we know that the hypotenuse is 1 because the radius of the unit circle is 1. So they boil down to these definitions. So what I need you to memorize is that sine is y, cosine is x, tangent is y over x. X cannot be 0 because you can't divide by 0. It'll be undefined in that case. And then cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. So basically, if you can find these three, you just flip them to get the other three. All right, so what they want from us is to evaluate the 6 trig functions at each real number. So I have this where you can see all of the answers, so I'm going to talk you through it. So first of all, they give you an angle of pi over 6. So this is sine of pi over 6, cosine of pi over 6, tangent of pi over 6. So on your unit circle, right now I'm okay with you having to look things up, but hopefully by the end of the week, we're going to be able to play a game where you're not using your unit circle and you're able to give me sine of angles or cosine of angles or whatever. All right, so pi over 6 is right here. So this ordered pair is what I have written here. So the angle is pi over 6. From your unit circle, we know we're dealing with this ordered pair. This is x, this is y. By definition, sine is the y, cosine is the x, tangent is y over x. So I always set mine up sine, cosine, tangent this way because tangent's always going to be sine over cosine or y over x. So over here, I did the working backwards. If I do 1/2 over root 3 over 2, that's 1/2 times 2 over root 3 because you multiply by the reciprocal. And then those 2's cancel. You get 1 over root 3, which is just root 3 over 3 if you rationalize the denominator. Multiply the top and the bottom by the radical on the bottom. So once you have these guys, then you just find the reciprocal. So if I take 1/2 and flip it, I get 2. If I take root 3 over 2 and flip it, I get 2 root 3 over 3. And just to show you that rationalizing, if I take this, if I take this, so I take this and flip it, it looks like that. Rationalize means multiply the top and the bottom by the radical on the bottom. So you end up with 2 root 3 over 3. All right, so if I take this and I flip it, there's a lot of work involved, but I can also go to right here. It looked like this before I rationalized. If I flip that, then it's root 3. All right, so trying another one. 5 pi over 4. so again, on your unit circle, find 5 pi over 4. That ordered pair is negative root 2 over 2, negative root 2 over 2. So sine is the y, cosine is the x. So those are both negative root 2 over 2. Tangent is y over x, so just 1. And then if I do the reciprocal, I get negative root 2, and 1. The reciprocal of 1 is 1. If I take negative root 2 over 2 and I flip it, and then rationalize, then I just end up with negative root 2, because those 2's cancel on the outside. These guys do. Alright, number 3. We have pi as our angle. So on the unit circle, pi has an ordered pair of, you can't see that. Pi has an ordered pair of negative 1, 0. So write down your ordered pair, and then sine is the y, cosine is the x, tangent is y over x, so 0 over negative 1, which is 0. If I take this and I flip it, it becomes 1 over 0, which is undefined. If I take this and reciprocate it, it becomes 1 over negative 1. Remember, this is like over 1, this is over 1. So I just have negative 1 for secant. The cotangent, you're going to do the reciprocal of 0. So it looks like this, and you flip it. You end up with 0 on the bottom, which is not okay. It is undefined. Alright, so if we have negative pi over 3. So on your unit circle, pi over 3 is here. So negative pi over 3 is going to be that far in the down direction. So negative pi over 3 is right here at 5 pi over 3. So this is the ordered pair we're dealing with. 1/2 negative root 3 over 2. So there's my ordered pair. Remember, this is x, this is y. Sine is the y, cosine is the x. Tangent, you're going to do y over x. So if I take negative root 3 over 2 and divide it by 1/2, that's negative root 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. 2's cancel, so just negative root 3. Alright, so if we do the reciprocal of each of those, then these are the results. Alright, so again, if you take this and you flip it and then you rationalize. So if I take 2 over root 3 and I do a root 3 on top and lose the radical on the bottom, that's ultimately what happens. So multiply by root 3 over root 3. The root 3 appears on the top and it becomes root 9 or just 3 on the bottom. So always when I flip this, you're always going to move the radical to the top and lose it on the bottom. It's not that mathematical, but it always works. Alright, doing the reciprocal of 1/2 should be easy. If I take negative root 3 and I do the reciprocal, remember this is over 1, so it's actually 1 over negative root 3, but again, move the radical to the top and lose it on the bottom. So you have negative root 3 over 3. Alright, so now just can you evaluate for a 1? That's what the next few examples are for one specific trig function instead of all 6 of them. So this one just says, can you tell me what cosine at 3 pi is? Well, if you think about your unit circle, this is 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi. So negative 1, 0 is that ordered pair. Remember that cosine is the x, so negative 1. Alright, 9 pi over 4. So looking at your unit circle, we have 7 pi over 4. This is 8 pi over 4. So 1 more fourth would be at pi over 4. So your ordered pair is root 2 over 2. Root 2 over 2. Root 2 over 2. Sorry, I stopped halfway through that sentence. Alright, so this is my ordered pair. They asked me for sine. They want the y. So that's all I give them. Alright, negative 8 pi over 3. So going backwards all the way around is negative 6 pi over 3, so negative 2 pi. So then I have to go 2 more pi over 3s. So this would be like 1 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3. So over here, I added 6 pi over 3, I got negative 2 pi over 3. I added 6 pi over 3, I got 4 pi over 3. Using the idea of coterminals, I know that negative 8 pi over 3 is in the same place as 4 pi over 3, if you need to do that. But you can't think this through, which is fine. All right, so the ordered pair at 4 pi over 3, if you're looking at your unit circle, is negative 1/2, negative root 3 over 2. And again, sine is asking you for the y coordinate. All right, so all of this that we've done so far, it just boils down to, do you know your unit circle? Can you look something up on your unit circle? All right, so now we are going to determine the exact values if I give you a ordered pair not on the unit circle. But like, keep in mind that it's not anything different. So on the unit circle, we have those ordered pairs already. But for like this problem, they don't tell you what angle you're dealing with, but it's not important because you just want the end result. You want to know what is cosine of that angle, and you know cosine of an angle is the x coordinate. Why did I write those in order? Okay, I don't know why I wrote these the other way. Whatever. So remember that cosine is the x. So negative 8/17. Sine is the y, so 15/17. Tangent is going to be y over x, so 15/17 over negative 8/17. So 15/17 times 17 over negative 8. So you get 15 over 8, or negative 15 over 8. And then you just do the reciprocal of each of those. All right, the writing that I have over here is just explaining that if this is ordered pair, then you go this far for x, this far for y. They gave you the angle. None of that is really that necessary because you're just trying to say, here's an ordered pair, cosine is the x, sine is the y, tangent is y over x. So don't overthink it. All right, so the next thing we have is even and odd trig functions. So cosine and secant functions are even. That means that if I plug in a negative, then it's the same thing as if I plugged in a positive. For sine, cosecant, tangent, and cotangent, those are odd. So if I plug in a negative, I get the opposite of what I would have gotten if I plugged in a positive. So we've talked about even and odd functions before, and we said that if a function is even, then I would have a point at like 2, 4, and another point at negative 2, 4. If a function's odd and I had a point at 2, 4, I would have a point at negative 2, negative 4. All right, so for example, if we take 30 degrees and negative 30 degrees, so these are the ordered pairs. So sine of 30 is a half, sine of negative 30 is negative 1/2. So put in an opposite input, you get out opposite output, so it's an odd. For cosine, the x stays the same whether you're at positive 30 or negative 30. So if I put in opposite inputs, I get the same output that makes it even. All right, so you use the given information to evaluate the indicated functions. So they tell me that cosine of t is negative 3/4. So they want to know cosine of negative t. Well, from over here, we know that cosine of negative t is the same thing as cosine of positive t. So if positive t got negative 3/4, then negative will get negative 3/4. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So it's just going to be the reciprocal answer. But it said secant of positive t, you would have done the reciprocal of that. Other than the same thing anyway, because they're the same. All right, so number 10. If sine of negative t is 3/8, sine of positive t is negative 3/8. Because sine is odd, if you change the input, the output also changes. Okay, so for cosine and for secant, if you change the input, the output stays the same. But for everybody else, if you change the input, you get the opposite output. All right, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so you just flip it. All right, there's a note here to check the mode of your calculator. If you're going to use your calculator to find values, which you can do, but you have to make sure your calculator knows what you're talking about, because if I just type in sine of 60, my calculator doesn't know if I mean 60 degrees or 60 radians. So you have to tell it, so push the mode button, and the fourth option down is radian or degree. So you've got to tell it what mode you're in. All right, so for this first problem, there's no degree symbol. Pi is also a dead giveaway. We're in radians. So we're going to hit enter on radians, so radians highlighted. Second click gets you off of that menu, and you type in what it says. So I want to find out sine of 2 pi over 3. And I get 0.866 yuckity yuckity yuckity. All right, if I'm going to do cotangent of 1.5, again, no degree symbol, so we can still do radians. Sorry, I'm just thinking like we never actually said that those were, I said they were reciprocal, we haven't glued that down yet. Anyway, cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. Okay, so if we're going to do cotangent, we have to type it in the calculator as 1 divided by tangent, because our calculator only has sine, cosine, and tangent buttons. So for cotangent, we're going to do 1 divided by tangent 1.5, again in radians, and we get our answer. All right, the next one wants cosine of 115 degrees, so we've got to go back to mode, change it to degree. I don't know if that actually worked because I hit the wrong button. It did not. Change it to degree. And now we want cosine of 115. All right, and then they want cosecant of 2 pi over 7. So that's radians. So go back to your mode and change to radians. And cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So we'll do 1 divided by sine of 2 pi divided by 7. My fingers are not working. And we get our answer. All right, so typing them in a calculator is not hard. If you're using your cell phone, the basic cell phone calculator, or a scientific calculator, you'll have sine, cosine, tangent buttons, and it should have a way to change the mode from radian to degrees. You just got to kind of inspect the buttons. If you downloaded one of those free graphing calculators at the beginning of the year, then you have what you need. Okay, so that is all for lesson 4.2. If you have questions, please let me know.